All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode, and instead of Texas this time, Will,
Yeah.
we're in Colorado.
Wait, did we have another pod before this that was not in Texas?
No, Texas was our last in-person pod. Before that, it was online.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that clearly you're not sick of me yet.
No.
I thought you might be by now. 2 weeks together, basically, 1 day off. I figured you'd be tired.
Maybe after this pod.
Maybe. But you know who we're not tired of? Because he's now back on the podcast for the second time, and he's the only repeat guest, Jordan Briones.
What's up, guys?
Hey, that's a lot better than the first What's Up, guys, I think you did on our first podcast.
Dude, I've been practicing it in my mind. Like, how can I get the pitch right?
Oh my gosh.
The pitch is the hardest part. That is the hardest part for everyone.
If I practiced my dinks and my speedos as much as Jordan practices What's Up, guys, I'd probably be playing pro right now.
Well, maybe. We'll get to that in a second. But okay, guys, so we're in Colorado because we just took one of Jordan's 2-day intensive camps, and when he says they're intense, he is not kidding. They are very intense, which we'll also get to in a minute. But I want you just to tell people and explain for those who don't know what the 2-day intensive camps are, just kind of like give them a rundown.
Okay, I'll give you a little rundown. First off, Will and Chris, I do really appreciate you for coming down.
Let's go.
All
Thank you.
So
Dude, we appreciate you like inviting us.
We're just glad we got to be in it.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
telling you the other day, I was like, it's like not so much anymore, but like the first time I was like, I've seen you all over the internet, and now we're like kind of friends. So it's like it was like weird. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways, we've been planning this for maybe a few months or something.
Yep.
Yes.
Like that, and I appreciate it. Yeah, so basically, I'm a coach, obviously. Teach a lot, and what I do now is I form groups of small groups of 4-to-1 ratio. So me as a coach, and I get 4 players of the same skill level, and they come in, and we do a really just intense 2 days of training. But it's also experience too. I spend a lot of time with them. And there's a lot more we can get into. But,
yeah, we'll get into it for sure.
But that's what I do, and it's been really, really great. And the group this weekend was really, really fun.
Really fun, guys.
This group was
Shout outs to Kevin and
Hummer.
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 Yeah.
Like a Hummer, but without the H.
Without the age. Really fun guys from the Bay Area. We smoked them, though. It's okay. We're way better.
We're definitely going to talk about that for sure. But I will say one of the things that I think makes your intensive probably one of the most valuable things. Obviously, a 4-to-1 ratio is really good. A lot of clinics that people do, well, one, they're, maybe an hour, 2 hours, and then you have usually people try and advertise an 8-to-1 ratio, but you don't really get much one-on-one time. It's usually just a broad concept for the whole group. And then also matching up the skill levels is huge, because I can't tell you how many times I have heard people take a clinic and they're like, we had like this 1-3-0 in the 4-0 clinic, and it just slowed it down for everyone because now the coach has to spend all the time with
They
us.
had Chris in their group. Yeah. This 1-3-5 guy in my group.
This is the first formal training I've done in pickleball. So yeah,
Okay.
it was. I haven't had to deal with that yet, but
Yeah.
I do hear about that a lot. So I think it's good that you do that.
Yeah, so what I actually do, it takes obviously a lot of time, but players will sign up, and we don't go by duper rating. We don't go by anything like that. Right now, I individually watch their footage that they send in.
Do you ask them to send you clips and footage?
Of course, it's part of the protocol. Like when we're doing it. So, what did you guys think? So it was you two and then 2 random people from the Bay Area. What did you think of the levels?
Well, okay. So the funniest thing was the day before the intensive, Will and I went to a public park just to like play, see what was going on or whatever. And Kevin showed up there, and he was going to hit with us or whatever. And he was watching us hit, and he was like, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't really understand how I got in this group, because like my duper's a 3.75, and like I was kind of like, for a second I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, do we actually have a below 4? I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. And then I told him, I was like, Jordan probably wouldn't have put you in here if he didn't see something. So I was like, you're probably not really a 3.75.
Is that what you told him?
Yeah. I was like, Jordan had to have seen something. But then my mind was racing. I was like, wow,
You're a little worried.
I wasn't really worried, but I was just like a little. I was like, how is this gonna work? Am I gonna like learn anything? Well, like I said, all the horror stories I've heard of clinics or whatever, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But then when we all started playing, I was like, dude, You are not you're not even close. Like he is easily our level. It was
Easily.
That's why you can't, because he had went to a tournament like a year ago. That's why his duper's so low.
Exactly. So that's why we do that.
Yes.
I mean, most players think they're a half level above what they are.
Yeah.
Inflated.
In that case, that's an anomaly there. But no, I thought the group was really good.
Yeah.
How many games do you usually need to watch to understand like where they should be? Do you need more than one? Like, what if they send the best game that they've ever played?
I bet Jordan takes like 10 seconds. Okay. 3-5.
What's actually really interesting, I've gotten so good that literally a minute to 2 minutes.
Really?
That's
'Cause,
it?
I mean, I can. Oh, what do I look at?
Yeah,
You're gonna
yeah,
ask me.
what do you look at?
So mobility, footwork, and then like technique.
What
So
technique
those are-
specifically? Is it technique for a certain shot or
a
anything?
serve. So obviously, I'm watching footage. So serves, returns are big, and then kind of like, what do they do with the third shot? What does it look like? And I can tell, like right off the bat, like if they're first, are they in the 3-0 to 3-5 range, 3-5 to 4-0, 4-0 plus. I mean, it's pretty quick now.
I mean, to be honest, it kind of makes sense. Like, if you think about, like, us with paddles.
Yeah.
Like, if you hand me a paddle, I can very quickly tell you probably what it's similar to or what it's identical to.
It's true.
Whereas, a lot of people can't. So it's probably the same for him.
What Jordan is telling us is that he needs to start his own algorithm that, competes with the duper.
Duper.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude.
Just sees it and he's like instantly, 3.72.
well, so far, I mean, the way I match is pretty accurate. So
I thought this
know.
one was perfect. I did not think anyone in the group made
Was
it
weak.
worse
No.
for anyone.
No, and we were all had different skill sets.
you guys had a little barn burner in game 3 there. We'll talk about that.
Oh gosh.
Later on.
Here we go.
Oh, but the last game of the day was not a barn burner. I tell you what. Well,
Okay. So did you, Chris, what did you think about overall? We're going to get into the details, but what did you think about the intent? This is your first, I guess, formal training session.
Yeah.
How did it go?
No, it was really good. Like, I'm actually really excited to go home. One, because now I feel like I just have more tools on like what to work on, because it wasn't so much.
Wait, Chris, hold on real quick. Why haven't you ever taken a lesson or anything? Is that just...
I just never really felt like I needed it yet. I mean, come on. Okay, that was too easy. That was too easy.
I'm not even going to say it.
He's not even going to say it. No, but
All right,
it
go
was
ahead.
one of those things where like I've always been steadily improving. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't really feel like I need it. Now I've gotten to a point, it's not necessarily that I've plateaued, but it's like I'm stuck on certain things where I don't know what I don't know. And it was like, okay, well, it'd be nice to go over this. And then also, it's just really hard, I think, to know if a coach is going to be good or not. And it's like, how many coaches do I want to like trial
True.
before I land on one? And then I'm also spending all this money or whatever. Obviously, with you, it's like, I know you know your stuff. I've played games against you. You smoke us every time. Like, you're very good at the game. You've been teaching for years. Your history of this, you just have a lot of, like, a big portfolio.
You got a big
basically.
resume.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, big resume. But no, it was great. Like, I feel like I got a lot of frameworks and, like, how to analyze opponents, like, shot selection, making skills. There were a couple shots, like my backhand roll we worked on, which now feels much better. But I think I walked away with, like, tools that are more valuable than just like, hey, here's how you hit a two-handed backhand.
Right. It's applicable knowledge. All I can say is that when I go back home or any rec court, I'm about to up. That's all I'm saying. You might have to bleep that out, but
I always have to bleep it out
sorry.
so we're not explicit.
dude, no, it was good.
No. Well, one last thing before we get to yours. One thing, whenever I think of a coach in pickleball, usually I'm just thinking of like they're working on hey, let's work on your third shot drop or let's work on your volley. And I think that's always my thing is like, how much am I actually going to gain from that? And I think the framework stuff feels highly valuable. I'm sure other coaches do that.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. Like, because what were you expecting?
Honestly, I don't know.
Because he had no
Did you-
expectations.
Okay.
I mean, I honestly, I don't know that I had a big thing going in. I was just kind of like, well, I hope I walk away with something useful.
All right.
I had more expectations because when I first started playing pickleball, I did take lessons. I would say, I started off 4-0 because I had the tennis background. So I took one lesson, and then I always, every couple of months, I took another private lesson with somebody else. But here's the thing. After I took a few lessons, I made sure, like my last couple coaches, I made sure that either they were not a previous tennis player who just started teaching
Yeah,
pickleball.
yeah.
There's a lot of those.
There is, because they teach you like how a tennis instructor teaches, and I think pickleball like coaching is different from how most or many tennis instructors teach tennis. Because I mean, Jordan, I'm sure I know you used to play tennis, but sometimes those tennis instructors are just a human ball machine and they don't really instruct that much. But I went out of my way to find instructors that did not have prior tennis experience, but also played pickleball at a high level, because there would be insights there that I would not have. So I talk about.
Well, I want to expand on that really quick, because I think that was another concern of mine with coaches, was always like, okay, even let's say they're a 5-0. There are obviously going to be some 5-0s with like unorthodox technique. And then I was always worried about like, am I going to be taught something that isn't actually the maybe correct way of doing it? It was just like, I don't really know what I'm getting. I see. So again, that's kind of where the resume thing came in here.
Right. So for me, I think the first coach that I had that really resonated with me is actually a friend of yours.
Yeah.
His name is James Moore. I talk about him all the time on the pod. He's a good buddy of mine. And he did not have prior tennis experience or any racket sport experience. And what I liked about him and his coaching style, which I think you do this very well, like not just technical wise, but he taught me concepts. And it did not matter what technique you really had. I mean, it does, right? But those concepts apply no matter how you hit the ball, to be honest. And of course, with those concepts in mind, now you kind of understand what techniques work better to execute some of those concepts, right? And I mean, that's what I really enjoyed from it. So I got a lot of conceptual things, and then there were a few technique things as well. And just knowing your strength, your weaknesses, and having somebody point those out to you over a 2-day span. Each day was, how long was it? We were on the court for
We were
6 hours about.
Five to 6 hours.
straight.
I mean, obviously water break in there, but yeah, it was not, it was pretty go. We're not talking about sit out for 45 minutes. It was.
So it's time for you to see, it's time for you to practice. It's also time for, I guess, Jordan to point out that you're not doing what he taught you. So it's just hammering down. And so you're getting the reps in. And yeah, I came away with it feeling very, very good.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
No, I mean, there was a lot of good things. And I kind of want to just talk about some of the things that stood out to us. And then you can just kind of expand on.
Wait. Before we get into that, I want to ask Jordan, okay, what did you think about us and I mean, obviously you played with us before, but before we took the intensive, I mean, you saw us play before, and then of course you have footage of us later on before we kind of started the conversation. What did you think about Chris's game, my game? Did you really think he was 3.5? I just need to know.
Yeah. So for those for those of you out there that think Chris is 3.5, you're a little generous. Okay. I'm just kidding.
I didn't know where he was going.
I didn't know where he was going. I thought he was going to say you guys were right.
No. I didn't know where I was going with that, to be honest. I was like, wait, what am I saying here?
Me.
That's so funny.
No. So Will, we did some videos on your channel.
I met you a
year ago. Chris, I don't think we haven't played. Did we play one
we
time
played
in
like
Mesa?
a couple games in Arizona.
Yeah,
but it was like
that was literally in February, late February. That was only a couple months ago.
Wow.
You just met him.
Yeah. So honestly, like, Will, your game obviously has improved dramatically since over a year ago.
Honestly,
so hopefully you did that.
Honestly, now knowing what I know now and how I played with you back then, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
He must have thought I was absolute trash. Like that's how I feel. Like after coming out of this intensive.
Yeah. But and then I was thoroughly impressed. With both of your game, and your game styles are so different.
Yes.
And
different.
you guys just talked about how you just played your first tournament, and we talked about a little bit about that, about strategy and stuff like that, and how you guys are going to go forward and try some more together. But no, you guys, it was a great group. I was thoroughly impressed, actually. I mean, full game. I mean, I'm talking about serves, returns, resets. I mean, a lot of my intensives right now are still within 3-0 to 4-0, right? And then I have I'll bring a group in, or I'll put a group together. Let's say it's 3-5, and then they're all around the same level, probably around the same age and things like that. This is definitely one of the highest level intensives that I've done so far. So it was really fun to.
I would have known it was your first or second or one of the few. I was like, oh, he must do this
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really fun to just playing with you guys more a little bit, because I do that in other intensives, but at a lot higher level, and just technique is a big thing. I think lower levels and footwork and stuff like that. We obviously talk strategy and things like that, but for this, like these kind of things, a lot of the things we went through, and I like to say, like, at higher levels, technique, you're still learning new shots, and technique is important, but the strategy, shot selection, and those things become more and more important because the margins are so slim.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was fun. You guys were great.
No, it was a ton of fun. So like what I want to do now is just kind of you and I just go over some of the stuff we learned or that stood out, and then he can kind of just expand on.
Yeah, elaborate on the concepts behind. Right, exactly. Because these are things that unless you watch a lot of footage of yourself or you're really studying the game, it's really hard to point out or figure out for yourself. You need somebody to essentially point it out to you, right?
And I think what was super valuable is like some of the games we played that basically forced you to have to do the thing we were talking about. It pointed out why it was so valuable. And it was funny, like watching people try and do what they normally do and mess it up. And you're like, look, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Here's why you need to do this. And like, eventually it starts to click like, here's why. But some of the things, I think without that context and without that person telling you right there, like if you just watched one YouTube video, it might be hard to understand how valuable that thing is.
Well, yeah. And that number one, and obviously, we're a YouTube channel and we teach instruction. So you can learn a lot there. And I, urge you to do that. But the thing is, most players, like you guys said, or you started to say in the beginning, Chris, they don't really know what they're doing and what they're not doing. It's hard to self-evaluate.
Yes.
Like, first of all, people don't film themselves. So if you're out there and you're trying to improve, I always recommend to watch yourself play every once in a while.
Yeah, but that helps a lot.
But even in that, like, if you don't have a lens to see like what you're looking for, because you're not going to know, it's really tough. So that's why getting a good coach could be valuable.
Yeah. All right. Well, first thing the thing that stood out to me, one of the most, was just the middle dink reset. So this is basically just when you're dinking and you get pulled out wide, either on the forehand or the backhand, the ball gets like a little bit behind you and it stretches you. And basically you just told us, you were like, not always, but the vast majority of the time, that ball should just be reset to the middle or, somewhere very close to the middle.
Learn to love the middle.
Yes. And at first when we were doing this, I was kind of like, really? Like, we're just going to reset to the middle? I was like, okay. Conceptually, I probably could imagine like, oh yeah, this is like the better shot instead of just going like way back cross court. But then I told myself, I was like, okay, basically any ball that gets me into this position for the rest of this weekend, I'm only putting it right there so I can see how effective it is. And just when we would play the games when people wouldn't do it, it was very obvious why you should do it.
Yes.
Like either their footwork wasn't good enough to get there, dumped it in the net, or they try to do something too crazy and it goes out, like, or pop it up and then the person kills it. And like I just saw as I did it, like how effective it
As we
was.
got better at doing it. I would say, this kind of goes into it, but I think the one concept that Jordan taught us this weekend is time and space. How many times you said time and how many times you said space or hit it to space? I could have sworn that Jordan was like, I thought I was taking a lesson from Neil deGrasse Tyson. He just kept saying time and space the whole entire time. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is he talking about? And essentially, you're just, I had to redefine what I thought aggressive meant, right? To me, aggressive play always means taking time away from your opponent. So I would try to hit things that I probably shouldn't hit out of the air, right? Reaching in or whatnot. And this leads into, I think, one of the most crucial things that you and I learned this weekend, which is the step back. So you measure a ball as it's coming, and then you judge the trajectory. And if it's not good enough for you to attack it, you just let it bounce, you step back, and then you really focus on your footwork to then do a speed up. Because yes, if you took it out of the air, you could potentially take time away from your opponent. But if you take a step back and you hit a better quality shot with more pace and speed, that actually takes even more time away. So that idea was profound to me.
And not only even on the speed ups, but even just dinks.
Yeah.
Like
dinks.
Yeah, I mean, like taking a step back to give yourself time. And actually, I want to ask you this. I meant to ask you this during the intensive.
Sure,
but, okay, obviously, I could definitely still get better at it. I'm not perfect at any of this. But was I essentially already... Was there much on the step back that you either thought I needed to improve or wasn't doing? Because I already felt like I kind of did that naturally. I don't know if I did, but just with how much I speed up, the only choice you have is to do that step back. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be a great shot.
Yeah. So you're asking if you did that before?
Yeah, like going where you're like, okay, he's not even doing this, or was I already decent at doing it?
I think it was decent, but it wasn't as like profound. Like, I don't know, profound's not the right word, but definitely like your footwork and also the urgency and just kind of like realizing the space that you need.
Sure.
And also the timing.
Sure.
Right. And if you I know a lot of people are listening to this or watching this, these like just multiple concepts, multiple things we worked on. But like something as simple as, because one of the things that, like we first worked on is that middle thing, utilizing it more.
Yep.
As simple as it sounds, something like that. If you guys watch, and I'll show you the gameplay, like from the very first day.
Yeah.
And then some of the rallies that you guys, like on that second day, it from a coach's eye, it was like night and day. Like the decision, even all your decision making was like, I mean, it got so much better. It was good. I was actually really surprised. Like it was fun to see.
I mean, I could even just feel it. Like I felt like I was much more aware of like, I feel like I was being much more intentional rather than just like, I'm going to get this ball over and generally in this vicinity that I want. Now it was like, okay, here's why I'm about to hit that shot to set up this or my partner, which you and I have talked about. Like we didn't really know how to do that well.
Well, we also didn't know what to look for. This will go into our next kind of topic, about speed ups, but it's really the recognition of, I mean, even before recognition, right? So pickleball is a very neutral game, and understanding that the phases within the game. There is a defensive, there's neutral, and there's offense.
Yeah.
Knowing where you are in that spectrum, right, dictates the decision and the shot that you decide to do, which is why you taught us to go into the middle, because that almost neutralizes everything, and that goes back to neutral, but then it also helps you focus and hunt for an opportunity to attack, to go on the offensive. And I think before, when I first started playing, I think I would jump. I'd be in a defensive position, right? And I would go for too much because I'm trying to hop from defense to offense.
That's really
way
good.
too soon.
That's really good.
Way too soon. And then not knowing that
there's maybe a bridge in between.
There's a bridge in between. I'm trying to jump it. Sometimes I make it. Most of the times I fall and I'm dead.
And that could happen.
Right. That could happen.
You can go from, I mean, several times in a point where you could go from defense to defense right away. But if you watch the pros play, like something they do really well when they're out of position or whatever, they can't jump at every time or every shot, right? There's multiple times that it has to go somewhere around that neutral range so that they can set up their offense again.
Right. And what I saw when we're playing with you is that your margin to go for offense, it just feels wider than ours because you have the experience and you have better technique and the shot. You know what it is? There's a shot that I could potentially go for, like on the offensive, but I'm like, I'm not as confident. I don't have the technique and I don't have the repetition. But I was like, for a shot that you got the same shot, and I'm like, okay, he's probably not going to go. I wouldn't go for this, but you went for it, and it worked out. I was like, why? Like, know, I was like, what the frick?
Well, also, I think you made us realize that you really don't have to go for crazy things all the time. Like, you can beat people with some pretty basic stuff. Like, even just when we would play you would have a ball that you could literally basically crush an overhead. Yeah. And you would just choose to do this little gentle backhand roll cross court through the kitchen, and then like it stretches us so far that we either dump it in the net, pop it up, and then it's finished. Or it's just like such a simple ball, and it's honestly more annoying than you just hitting the overhead because you're like you're toying with me. It's like, funny. Dude, just hit this little gentle dink, and I'm like, that's not what I was ready for.
Right.
But then when we would do that, or we'd start implementing these things, you would literally see it. You're like, huh, that reset middle, and then they fought over the ball. And now we won
Right.
the point. They dumped it in the net.
Yes.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, I think one of the biggest takeaways, and if for you listening out there, if you take anything away from this podcast episode, any advanced thing, what to look for to attack is to make your opponents hit a half volley. That was like the major thing, because I didn't know what to look for. Because you hear these
We
concepts.
should clarify
before.
really quick. Half volley, short hop.
Short hop.
Basically a ball that bounces and you're trying to make them take it very early off the bounce.
Very early.
Yeah, and the reason why is, so there's several things to look for, but that's one of the biggest indicators and targets that I'm kind of going for when I'm dinking into space or rolling. From a half volley, you can't generate spin, like top spin or underspin, and you can't, you could only control the depth so much. So usually if you can force someone into a half volley, you're going to get something dead back or something sitting.
And that allows you.
And that allows you to now be on the offense. So like right after a half volley, you're normally could now switch right onto offense, unless it's really close to the net or something like that.
I see.
Yeah. And along with that too, like this concept, I loved this because I feel like I could implement this really quick and I could see it working, but also basically once you gave someone a ball where they had to short hop it and you could tell they were in a slightly more defensive state, you basically just told us you should immediately start leaning in and like hunting for the next ball. Like you might not get it and you might have to step back and take another ball, but they can't do anything with it, so they can't hurt you. So you might as well lean in and be ready.
Right.
And then you can take time away
More opportunities.
if they're there. And like several times, like I would just start leaning normally when I wouldn't because I just didn't even know to look.
Yeah.
And then I'd see a ball, and I'm like, ooh, like I can just put this thing
flick it
away.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it was very fun to see some of these things click so quick and go like, wow, that's way easier than what I do.
There you go. Well, that's good, man. That's good.
Like, some of those were like super exciting for sure.
Yes. And then I guess moving on from getting the dead dinks, how to attack the dead dinks. And with speed ups, this was great for me because you know what's funny? When we played in Dallas, until you mentioned it, I didn't even realize that I don't really speed up or that I don't like to speed up. I counter or whatever. I think Jordan was more surprised and he was like, Will, you don't?
Well, when you guys told me that, so what happened is we went through this full 2 days in intensive. Obviously at a higher level intensive, attacking is a big thing.
Yeah.
So we worked on speed ups. But and then you guys are told me, I think it was today or even yesterday, like, yeah,
Chris is the one that speeds
because
up.
I didn't watch your footage from the tournament, but you guys were telling me, oh yeah, Will doesn't really speed up. Chris was speeding up a lot. And I was like, that is why? That was so interesting. But so Will, over this course of 2 days, we worked on speed ups, and your counters and your hand speed is so good. When you started speeding up, it was totally different game.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
unbelievably different. And then obviously some of the things we're kept working on. It's just gonna get better and better.
Like I said, I'm about to just see me at a rec court or whatever, just dumping stuff into the net.
yeah.
I'm thinking about what Jordan is thinking. He's like, Will, we worked on this for 2 days.
So what for you about the speed ups were like the big takeaways?
The big takeaways is it's like we said before, the step backs with the speed ups, and because that allows you to generate more control, right? Because now you have more time and you can set up more, and if you can prep earlier, then you can disguise it more. But like the biggest thing, I think you and I agree, and Jordan told us that, is that you should aim for the wings. And when we say the wings, it is like far out to the right and then far out to the left. Because normally we've been told that
Just conditioned.
conditioned to think if they're right-handed, to hit the right hip and the right shoulder.
And now those aren't necessarily wrong.
No.
Right? Like
No.
Jordan never said like, hey, don't hit that,
right.
just to be clear. I think what he was telling us is like, look, even at your guys' level, like when you speed up to these areas, most of the time they're not going to do, if you hit the spot properly,
Yeah.
they will not hit it great. And at first I was like, when he told us, especially the further out forehand, I was like, there's no way. I was like, if I hit this as gentle as you want, like, you're saying like, oh, you don't have to hit it that. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then we started doing it, and I was like, I'd have to be the one to counter. And I'm like, why can't I hit this ball? I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard.
So, well, let's tell this story. So, shout out to Amr. Okay.
Yeah.
One of his best shots is the counter.
Yes.
And then even when we first started playing some of the games in the beginning, you both, or you, Chris, specifically, would speed up and he'd just counter
He'd destroy me.
Just destroy you right down. So why don't you tell the little experience when we were practicing speed up different locations, and then I mean just the difference, like what you're saying.
No, the difference was massive. He would even joke like a couple times, I'd hit it and he'd be like, never. Or he'd be like, yeah, you can't go there. Like it doesn't work. And that only makes me more stubborn. So I don't want to do it more. And I just get messed up more.
Chris and Ummer developed somewhat of a rivalry these past 2 days.
For sure.
It was quite.
No, that's funny.
I've never seen.
We have a lot of stories.
So much.
I love trash talk.
We gotta talk about other thoughts. No, but when you were working on the spots,
once I started going to those spots, the wings, his counters got so much worse. Or even if he got the ball back, it was in a spot that was great for me to finish the ball, and I was like, wow, that was easy.
That was easy.
So Jordan, can you elaborate on why the wings are such effective places? I mean,
so there's different levels to everything. I think, starting out as beginners and intermediates, and we even talked about a little bit, not to give everything away, okay? But we talked about even at the higher levels, some of the mind games that they play in different targets. But just in general, because you have to sit, most players sit right in front of their belly button or chest right there.
Right.
So when we spread our attacks out, it just basically gets them to reach or stab.
I see.
And especially on the dominant side that we talked about, usually players will be late, and it's always situational. But like you guys said, like we did a lot of like framework stuff. As you are implementing or start to implement all these things in your game, you're gonna find, like you said, you're gonna find things a lot easier because it just makes the game easier when you're making good decisions.
Yeah, and the big thing about the speed ups too is you told us the first priority should be placement. I think generally speaking people know that, but like for me, anytime I'm doing a speed up, which I already thought it was one of my better strengths, is like I was just trying to go for speed. I was like if I don't hit this pretty fast, like they're just gonna clobber the ball. Like I was telling him after this, I was like, dude, there are people I play where I think that all the time. Like I gotta really hit this.
Yeah.
And that may lead to it going out, or sometimes it works or whatever. But doing the placement and taking a ton of pace off, like these balls did not have to be that fast to catch someone off guard.
Speed up is a misnomer.
And I think also it helps too, right? Like we worked on all these dead dinks and kind of helped disguising whether it was going to be a dink or not. But it's just crazy how I feel like my speed ups got way better. Like the amount of Yates I hit, and I did not hit them hard, dude. I got every single one of you guys, including Jordan, and there will be a clip of this. It's going to be a short.
We'll see.
I don't know. It's going to be everywhere. There'll be a couple other clips.
Just wait until you see the clip that I have of Chris on one point. Jordan has been teaching pickleball for 8 years, and he said he's never, ever seen this ever in his coaching.
And it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It didn't end well for Chris either. I've never seen it either.
Yeah, I thought about leaving right there, just going back home.
Oh man.
But yeah, it just like, I don't know. I did not have to go that hard. If you hit the spot right. Now, if you miss and you go into like a spot they like, it'll probably suck, but just don't miss. It's a lot easier to not miss when you're going slower.
Well, either way, right? If you speed up with speed, I think, and hit the wrong spot anyways.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
So
because it's gonna come back just as fast.
And actually it has more pace on the way back. Think about it. So there's a give and take, but locations
for sure
most important.
For sure. No, the speed ups were really good.
Yeah. Well, next up on the list we got is the backhand roll. This is something that you and I in our first kind of like round interviews before we started, I think both Chris and I said we want to work on our backhand rolls. And this was also somewhat counterintuitive.
Dude, I should have got for us. I don't know why. I mean, because we I do these intents all the time, but I normally don't get a before on everything. But dude,
you want to see a before video?
It would have been so good. But your guys, like, especially yours, Chris, like
mine was so bad.
Well, I think your roll just got so much better.
Oh no,
just for little tweaks, dude.
Way better. I mean, we're probably talking 5-10 minutes of going over this thing, and it went from like I hate this shot because I can't do it.
Now it's my favorite.
No, seriously. By the end, the very last game we played in the day, got so many points just from doing this thing. And I was like, this is so nice.
This is so nice.
This man was, yipping like a little schoolgirl, like.
That's what it felt like, man. That's what it felt like. I mean, it was just crazy how much better it got.
Yeah, and really the big concept for it, the major takeaway was the lower it is, the slower you need to roll, because you and I are always trying to. We think because it's low, we need to hit it faster
to get more spin.
To get more spin, so we can get over the net.
Yeah,
but
wrong.
Yeah, wrong. Yeah, it was
3-5.
It was so counterintuitive, like for us. And honestly, it took us a while. It took us maybe, I don't know, a couple hours working on that, like just back and we're taking breaks or whatnot. Whoa,
10 minutes. 10 minutes. I had this thing down. Come on. Give me some credit here.
I still don't know how you do it with an Eastern backhand.
Eastern forehand.
Eastern forehand grip.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to be able to, because initially when Jordan was showing me how to do it better, I was like, okay, I can't do that. So I went to Continental, and then I was like, I don't like switching. So I went back to Eastern forehand, and I was like, oh, now it just, once I had the framework for it, I guess it worked. Yes. I think you can definitely get more spin doing it how you do, Eastern backhand or Continental, but I'm just so comfortable in Eastern forehand that I'd rather just not change if I don't have to.
I think it just kind of goes to show you that the concept that Jordan teaches you works. It doesn't matter what technique you use, as long as you can apply the concept with however you use it.
Western might be a little hard to do.
Well, there's baselines for everything. But that's the thing I think I do really well. I try to take what you have and we'll talk through different things and like I said, you guys hit it differently, but at the end of the day, if we're doing it correctly, I think it's good.
Well, I think that's why you're such a great coach, is because you don't make us change for the sake of change. You see what we have, and then you either build upon it or you work with it to make sure that it works so that you can essentially achieve similar results. And if you do need to change, you'll only change it if completely necessary.
Yeah, unless it's like really
something crazy,
like a Kyle Yates shot.
I mean, all I'm saying is I burned you real good. I think I'm gonna post that clip like once a week for like the next year, just so it never. Short? Yeah, just so everyone knows, like all the time, it's just fresh.
Send me the footage. I want to do a compilation of body bags to Chris.
Okay.
Like in a row.
Oh, the back outer, yeah.
It's so funny.
I'll find it and send it to you for sure.
But yeah, I mean, there were just so many, like, overall throughout the intensive, so many good and again, we're on the court for like 11 hours, 10 hours over the course of 2 days. Like, you're gonna get through a lot. And just so everyone knows, how good this thing is, the first day of the intensive, so we had done like a podcast the night before for Jordan, and then the mattress I'm on at this Airbnb is just absolute garbage. I woke up with like a super tweaked back. Like it was very, very tight, and like basically we started playing, it hurt a lot. And then there were just certain balls, like if you got it a far enough dink out wide to my backhand, I just gave it up. Like it's a ball I can normally get.
Move. Yeah, Chris was struggling the first day.
It was bad. Like there were several times where I thought I'm just gonna have to sit and watch because Will kept dropping me.
Okay.
We played some games, and I drive the ball from the baseline, and Will just cuts it and drop. And I'm like, bro, I can't run to that if I want.
So to recap, Chris like kind of hurt his back in the first day.
He turned 27, totally went downhill. Happy birthday, Chris!
Yeah,
thank you.
Chris, happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Yeah. And me, no mercy,
none.
So I'm so glad, Chris, that you got that massage.
Yes,
and then you second day you're good to go. But yeah, dude, your back, you could not move. I know you could probably move like 50% of what you normally, and Will was dropping them like dropping Nancy at the park, dude.
Yeah, it's straight just staring him in the face, dude. And he gets out with a big smile like, happy birthday.
The worst part let me finish my first thought and then I'll get to the funny thought. But the main thing I wanted to say is, even though like I had a super hard time playing and like there were just certain things I couldn't do, balls that like I know I'm normally capable of getting to, I was still able to walk away from the first day with a lot of concepts that I knew I could apply. Like I didn't necessarily have to be hitting all the shots. It helps so you can see it in practice. But like even not being at 100%, I was able to walk away with stuff. And I think that's good, because part of me was worried, like, if I can't be on the court, am I going to take anything away from the first day? So I'm glad how it all worked out. But now to finish the funny thought, when we get to dinner, Kevin and Ummer start just poking fun. They're like, dude, Chris is like a 70-year-old grandma on the court. This guy can barely move. And I'm like, guys, my back is messed up. And then at some point, like later in the day, they're like, you know what? I take it back. It's like an 80-year-old grandma.
Yeah.
Like this guy can barely move. And I'm like, I'm competitive.
We have footage. We're going to show footage of this.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of it. I recorded the whole thing. But then my competitive side comes out and I'm like, I actually didn't know if they were serious and thought my movement was bad. So I was like, you better pray that my back is not fixed tomorrow because I will mess you up. And guess what? My back got fixed and I messed them up.
So you guys played 2 out of 3. Or actually, you played 2 games yesterday.
Yeah, guess what? Even with the messed up back, went 1-1. And then we played the rubber and we won.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Kevin because he also uses a 6-0. Team 6-0.
Yes.
No.
You did beat us.
Yeah, no, so that was good and funny. But yeah, even with not being in good performance, the first day was still great. And I'm glad the second day wasn't ruined by the back.
Yeah, no, I was a little worried about it.
Same.
For you.
Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh, did I come all the way out here?
I'm like, dude, you're the youngest guy in the group. No, seriously, I'm like, what is happening right now?
I know.
Come on, Chris, let's go, man.
Dude, it was messed up. Like, yeah, that
all right, here's the thing though. The funny thing is we were recording a pod for Jordan's podcast. Go check it out if you haven't already. But at the venue that we were recording the podcast, the table or the mic stands were just
too high.
Yeah, they were too high. So we had to switch to stools instead of chairs. And it was funny because during that pod, halfway through, both Jordan and I knew.
Well, I did first.
Yeah, he did it first.
Yes.
He did it first. But we had experience with this.
So it was so low. It was like this.
Yeah.
And then I had to raise it up.
You had to raise it up, and then he took the mic stand out off the table and started holding it and sitting up straight.
Lean back.
So he could lean back and straighten out his back. I did the same thing. Chris
did not. I did not.
And he was like, "Oh, this will be fine. Only another 30 minutes or something."
Hour and a half podcast.
Podcast. And by the end of the night, we got home, and he's like, "Oh, Will."
I ain't feeling so good. Mr. Stark.
Yeah.
Not feeling so good.
Yeah, he was out here like on the ground on the floor at our Airbnb. Looked like he was trying to do yoga. I was like, "You do yoga, Chris?" I was like, "What's yoga?"
Yeah. It was not good. Like I
thought you were gonna be fine the next day, but it got worse the next day.
No, it definitely got worse. Like, yeah. I mean, that's the worst lower back pain I've had for sure.
Yeah, and now you know.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is we talked about this in the Texas one. The lower back pain from that was just from playing singles and bending over a bunch. Like my back was just sore. It didn't hurt really.
Yeah.
This was just like lower back pain.
Yeah.
So when it was really funny. I joked about, man, is this what getting old feels like? And there were some older people that commented. They're like, you have no idea what getting old feels like. No. And I started listening. They're like, it gets so much worse.
No.
And I'm like,
I hear that all the time.
I got another glimpse of that with this lower back pain. But man, I'm hitting the gym after this.
That's strength training, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously, it's just got to be part of the job with how much I'm on the court. Like, I just think it actually has to be part of it. But, all right, next thing I want to go into is just for both of our games, by the end of this, what did you see, well, from beginning end to end, what was like already good and what was bad and like needed working on, or just, like one or two things?
Yeah. So, Will, your game is, dude, great technique, right? I'm talking about like, drives, serves, swinging volleys, all that. Super fast. I think that's one of your strengths. Yep. And, good hands, good power. I think just bringing everything that we went through together.
That's the hard part.
No, but from the first day to the second day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was coming together really nicely. And again, we already talked about it. One of the shots that you're going to be the strategies on speeding up, creating space. I mean, we talked about it on the ride here.
Yes.
It's just huge. It's just going to make, I can't wait to see your matches like coming up and how you guys do, because from what I saw you guys before and then like some of the tools that we went through now, I think it's just going to be huge. So obviously rolling those rolls at higher levels are huge.
Yeah.
Our fourths, right? When we're trying to keep our opponents back, for both of you specifically.
Yep.
And then just be more disciplined. Like, we talked about the middle ball, but various other things that we talked about that I'm still gonna do a little write up for you guys.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for that.
On your action plan and stuff like that. And reviewing some video.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So,
You know what'll be really cool, honestly,
Yeah.
I think, is because obviously we've got that Golden Qualifier in August. I think it'll be fun reviewing. I mean, maybe I even have some tournament games for Texas. It'd be fun at some point. Maybe it's even a video idea for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you break down that game and then the one in August. Now, obviously, that's a gap of time to improve, but also it's after the camp. And I think it would be neat to point out the things that's like from the intensive we learned. It's like, you didn't do it here, you didn't do it here. And then later.
I may, man.
I think it'd be kind of like a cool concept.
Maybe one or two games of yeah. So make sure you record it.
Yep, for sure.
And then we'll
scrub through it.
Maybe I do a little.
Maybe we'll just clip it and so
maybe I make it into a little strategy breakdown on my channel or something.
I think it'd be kind of cool to see. Because I think there'll be a pretty
Briones.
big change from some of those.
Oh, there's gonna be a huge change if I can stay disciplined.
Yeah,
but
discipline's huge for you.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I think now it'll be easier to stay disciplined because now I know what to look for. I know what I'm searching for. I know what I'm hunting for. So I can see an end goal. If I can see an end goal, easier to stay disciplined. If I don't,
yes.
If I didn't see the end goal, I'm just getting impatient.
And then for you, Chris, like one of the, you had a list of things you kind of wanted to touch on and work on.
Yeah.
But obviously what's interesting is still the volley thing, right? You told me the fast hands is something you're working on.
Yeah.
And just from what I saw in the intensive, we talked about this obviously over dinner and things like that. I don't think your hands are slow.
Sure.
Right. And we talked about, again, a couple of things. They just, throughout the 2 days, what I've seen and what I saw, we talked about, confidence and things like that, just little things. But even as you're playing, like we talked about anticipating better and things like that, and going to different spots. One of the things that actually, and you can tie it all together from what we did, but even on your counters, we didn't specifically work on this because, there's a lot of time, it's a limited amount of time, but even what you guys could both start working on is when you're countering, when someone's speeding up is countering to the wings.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to hit it fast back.
Yeah.
Just a little
block.
redirection
Block. Yep.
But just overall, and then just leaning in, there's you should see the video. I'll see what I can do. If like I might do some comparison videos for you guys, but just knowing when you're on offense, knowing when you're on defense, that was a big thing I think for you, and really just finding those opportunities. And these like at higher levels, it's so small.
Yeah.
Right. And we're talking about like you force a roll dink to let's say to the corner, something like that. You're talking about standing, just in your regular stance or getting in a wider stance up at the line, leaning in like half a foot. That's the difference of maybe a possible winner to like now you're on a defense on the next thing. So I just thought that was huge. And yeah, man. Yeah, I thought you really improved.
Yeah, no, I mean, I felt it. And I think, again, not having any expectation going in, I was like, maybe, okay, here's the thing. I didn't think I was going to walk away with nothing. I was pretty obviously confident that wasn't going to be the case. But since I hadn't had much, it's just like, I have no idea. But I felt like I walked away with probably more than I would have even hoped for. Like I think, with the action plan afterwards, I think that'll be helpful too. But it's just like lots of stuff where I'm like, oh, I'm excited to go play some people back home.
Yeah. See? Chris is about to go
Number 3.
The third bleep counter.
Just to see until Chris gets annoyed with me. Sorry, I'm not going to curse anymore.
That's funny.
So, Jordan, what was it like? Not just running hours, but I mean, you've been doing these 2-day intensives for a while. What's it like running the 2-day intensive? Do you get sick and tired of it? Is it draining for you? What's satisfaction? I'm sure you have students that, are shoot up 1.5, duper ratings or whatnot. What's it like for you?
That'll be me. I'll be the first 1.5 duper jump.
And you know what? When you guys asked me that, I think you asked me that like the first day here or something along those lines. I really had to think about it. And honestly, like with everything I have going on, like teaching, YouTube, family, it's hard, and I don't know, maybe it's like you guys probably are in the same boat. It's hard to kind of look. I'm busy with so much stuff. It's hard to appreciate something. So,
yes, no, 100%.
So sometimes I try to remind myself to really, focus, because I'm going week after week. But one of the, and you asked me this, something along the lines of this, but yeah, these 2-day intensives has really been really fulfilling for me. I get to work. I get to work with a small group, and what's really cool, unlike any camps or clinics that I know of that you can take out there, it's a super small ratio, but I really get to know these people.
Yeah.
Now, I know that I knew you.
Yeah.
Right.
But most players are they're serious players. They're flying from different parts of the country. I spend so much time with them on court, helping them with their game, a lot of light bulb moments, a lot of, we're working on a lot of things, but I really get to know them like on a personal level. And I don't promote it this way, but they all have my number, like after the intensive.
Yeah.
And I get like text messages like, "Oh, I just played a tournament, and I
won.
Got this medal." Yeah.
And it's just like, that's just the coolest part, I think. And it's like, it's like, and again, I don't promote it this way, but when you take my intensive, it's like a friend for life. Like I see it, like every time they're like, "Oh yeah, if you're ever in, Kansas, or you're ever in here, you have a place to stay." And it's kind of like the pickleball thing, like when you meet friends.
Yes.
But so that's just really like the coolest thing. And what's really cool, and you guys probably can testify or make a testament to this, but the 4 people in the group, they become really close.
Yeah, for sure.
What were you talking
I
about?
had a great time with Kevin and Umber.
Like you're only spending 2 days, but you feel like now you're like you've like gone through some fun times, hard times together.
Yeah,
I know it's
the last 3 hours of the intensive.
Yes.
It's pretty incredible. But as you guys think about it, like only 2 days together, but we get so much done.
Yes.
And by the time that you're done, like you guys already talked about, like visiting them.
Yeah.
And hanging out with them.
Yep.
So that's, I don't know. I just think it's super cool.
Let's go. Yeah, the connection, the blood, sweat, and tears that we share.
Yeah.
Well, I think you get a really good appreciation for what you're doing, because similar for me, people will, they might email in or comment, and like I love seeing those, but when someone says it to you in person, it just like hits a little bit differently. And I think when you get to see the light bulbs go off, you get to see these people having fun together. Like they're, obviously we were all very appreciative of like this whole thing. Yeah. I feel like there has to be a lot of fulfillment from that. Like I get it just from meeting people who watch my stuff. So like I can only imagine working with a small group and just watching them go like, dang, my game's about to,
especially
Will's third bleep. That's got to be one of the highest praises yet.
Third bleep.
I can imagine it's very satisfying, because these people who take your intensives obviously are very passionate.
They're dedicated.
They're dedicated.
They're 100% dedicated.
Right.
Yeah.
And we all know how dedicated and passionate people are about pickleball. So for you to make an impact in that way for something that they love to do, that's probably even more so, I guess, satisfying, right? Even more so important to them, because pickleball is so important to them. So for you to help them improve their game, I could only imagine it. Obviously, both Chris and I are very thankful and grateful for the improvement in our game that you had for us for these past 2 days. So that's super cool. But
how do they work right now? Is it like, is there a set number you're trying to do a year? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so my schedule is getting busier and busier right now. We're running them pretty frequently, but I don't know. I have to see. I only could do so many.
Yeah.
Right, and I want the people that are going to take them. Obviously, they're very serious about their game. They want to improve, and they just want really good quality instruction. So. We'll have to see how my schedule changes for everything, but do
you advertise like right now? Do you have all of the remaining ones you're going to do for the year, or how does it map out? Like, do you have people sign up and then you're kind of like, oh, I'll clump these, and then this date? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So the process, like I told both of you, because of, and here's the thing, not to bash on any clinics and camps, and we already talked about ratios, and some clinics and camps could be useful, right?
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But like, because I watch everyone's footage and I make sure that the matches are correct, people actually pay and they don't even have a date yet.
Sure.
So when they come in, you know, we bring them in, and then I'm analyzing footage, and I want to make sure that I get the matchups right.
Yeah.
So that takes a little bit of time, and then we plan a date collectively. So that's how it works right now.
I see.
And
Must be very time consuming do that.
Yeah, my wife and I have been figuring out is there ways that we can automate and stuff, but just for this, you know, for the students or intensives or whatever you can call them, it's just what works the best right now. And yeah.
Well, and it definitely, I mean, with 4 people, I mean, we talked about everyone got to know each other, but it definitely felt like at times like the coaching was like I mean, sometimes it would be like, okay, these guys kind of already have this thing, you guys drill this thing, and then like, you know, you came over and worked on like my backhand roll for like 10 minutes, kind of walked me through it. Once I got that, I drilled that with Will, you went back over it. So it definitely felt very like one-on-one specific, and not just like, hey, here's a concept for the whole group. It's like, okay, here's the thing I see you doing that like you should fix this.
Yeah, we got a chance to work with you one-on-one, you know, and then with
over 6 hours.
Yeah,
I hope
over
so.
6 hours in one day.
Yeah, I would imagine you'd have time to work with everybody a little bit one.
Yeah.
I mean, Will needed a little bit more time than the rest of us, but
I was like, Chris, you got it in 10 minutes. You're good.
Yeah,
apparently
10
minutes for that backhand roll, baby. Jordan told me I'm the fastest person to ever learn that backhand roll.
You know, this is why I really wish it might be in the first games. Maybe we
What's
didn't
that?
work on backhand roll on the first
day,
right?
No.
Okay, so maybe I'll look at some match footage, or maybe you can
I
find some
almost
from
guarantee there's got to be some, because the technique was so different.
Yeah, but to see it from A to B, dude, it really, and I'm not like just trying to push it to. I mean, you guys should really see the difference.
I'm gonna try and find old footage, or even just see if I can show what I used to do, because they're not this. I was just doing it wrong, essentially. I don't know, like, yeah, I don't. It was great.
And then dude, yeah, I can't wait to see. Well, you're attacking off the bounce.
Finally, I won't have to do all the attacking. Gosh,
it's okay. That means, you know, I won't have to bail you out from your poor attacks now either. So it's okay.
You're like, I'll do all of it. I'll speed it up and clean it up.
That's right.
Speed and clean.
Speed and clean. Speed clean. No, it's so good. I definitely, if anyone out there was thinking about taking one of the intensives, I would highly recommend it. Like, it was a ton of fun. And I told you, I was like, it'd be super fun, like a year from now, to do another one after we've kind of leveled up, and then also just see what the changes were from.
Hit up Kevin Ummer again, same group.
That would be fun. If we had the same group,
they'd be down.
They would definitely be down. Yeah, that would actually
be fun.
That would be super fun. That'd probably be the first. Have you had any repeat intensives? Not the 4 group, but just any one person?
Yeah, but they're scheduled.
Oh, they're scheduled.
Oh, wow.
Because we just started this in January.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like repeat, and you know, I want them to work on. You know, there's several things. It depends who it is, right? There's a lot of things to work on with the action plans and stuff I provide. So they do need some time to work on it. So yeah, there's people scheduled to take it again in 6 months to a year. And I think that's a good time frame, because when you come and you level up and come to the next one, the whole group, whether it's the same or you do it in a totally different group, the concept is just another layer, right, of new stuff. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
that's the goal, to see all of you grow up.
Yeah, basically, we're gonna, when we send the gold medal from one of these golden qualifiers, a single tear is gonna come down Jordan's face. He's gonna be like, I'm so proud. He's like, I can't believe I took a 3.5 to a 4.5 gold medal. I didn't think it was possible. Oh my gosh.
No,
it was so good.
Yeah, but send me that footage seriously on this next this next match. Maybe I'll do something with it.
Yeah, no, I think people would just have fun seeing. I'm sure people would love to see you point out the things I did poorly and be like, yeah. I'm better than that, the YouTuber.
All right. I've waited till the end. You know, a lot of people drop off in mid podcast, so I'll say it here. Okay, Chris Olsen is better than 3.5.
Let's go. All right. You guys heard it here. One of the most well-known coaches in pickleball.
Slightly.
Oh, only slightly. Dang. All right.
You guys just made it to the kitchen.
Yeah, true. I didn't even think about that. We've probably been in the kitchen for a little bit now. Yeah, no, we had added a section to the podcast like toward the end that was basically like,
oh, what is it?
We just call it the kitchen. Like, let us know if you made it to the kitchen, like in the comments. And it was like a play on words for two things because it was kind of like, you have to make it to the kitchen in pickleball, and then the end of the podcast is the kitchen. I kind of like.
Okay.
So we always tell people like, hey, let us know if you made it, and people will comment like, yep, made it to the kitchen, and usually it just means they listen to the whole pod.
Thing.
So let us know if you made it to the kitchen this time.
Wow.
It's not easy to get to the kitchen against this guy. Like,
no, it's not.
Yeah, he makes it real tough for you.
I like that. I might have to add something
like that. Oh yeah, for sure. For engagement, definitely.
We'll add it to your invoice. Here's the thing: we kept joking about this all weekend, guys. He gives us pickleball coaching advice, and we just give him content creation advice or things about cameras, not necessarily the content. He obviously knows how to make content.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was super funny.
Yeah, I'm definitely a 3.5 producer. So.
Hey, but you're moving up in the world.
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
moving
sure.
up in the world. Until you forgot the screws for the mics.
It's okay. I came in clutch. We good.
That was good.
That's cool.
But yeah, anything else, you guys?
I don't know. What do you guys got? Nothing?
No, not really. I think that's it.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Well, I just, again, seriously, for both of you, I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know you didn't have to do this, and I know that you guys are, well, look at your paddle reviews, your Bass paddle reviews. So I'm sure that if my 2-day intensive was as good as an Adidas paddle, you would probably you would probably bash it.
Oh, no, 100%.
So the good things that you guys have to say, no, I really, seriously, I mean, every group is a different dynamic.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. But this group was definitely super fun. Shout out to the other two guys. So
yeah,
it was great.
No, it was a blast. So thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the pod.
On the next one.
Yeah. Later.
Peace.